But this time you were okay with her being 13?
First, it was regular chatting. She mentioned that she was with a boy 2 years older than she was, and told me how that went.
You asked her how that went?
Mm-hmm. Off the top of my head, I don't know the specifics. All I know is, I asked her how it went and how she liked it, and what all they did together.
This is Paul Westwood. He's being sat down for his interrogation after being arrested by Kentucky authorities and a watch group known as Perverted Justice. Westwood was caught in a sting operation where he and 10 other adult men thought they were messaging with a teenage girl over Myspace and went over to her house when she was alone. The girl was fake, and the police were there ready to detain the men and arrest them for pedophilia.
Under arrest, we've already established that, and I'd like to talk to you about your situation. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that you have a side of your story.
The detective is sympathizing with Westwood to encourage him to give his account of the events. Westwood may have been arrested, but he still needs to be declared guilty by the court. This interrogation hopes to shine a light on the case and make the court process go as quickly and smoothly as possible.
And I know what I've seen. I know what I've read about. I've looked at the chat logs. And you came to Highland Heights to meet someone. But if you would like to talk to me about that, I would like to hear about it. But that's completely up to you.
Mm-hmm. I can fill you in.
Okay.
When I originally decided to do that,
Westwood's pause, sigh, and refusal to describe going to a 13-year-old's home show signs of regret. Not regret for his actions, he still attempted to commit pedophilia. This seems to be closer to regretting to admit to authority figures that he did this.
I was having second thoughts, and I had a feeling. Guess because I watched too many police shows.
Mm-hmm. Now, you said when you originally decided to do that, what are we talking about?
And here, the detective tries to get Westwood to openly admit what he did. If she lets him get away with omitting details early on, it could be harder to get information out of Westwood later. This is like an exercise to make Westwood more willing to talk.
Well, I originally decided to make the trip around 5 or 6 this evening. So I went, I ran an errand, and I talked myself out of going, went back home, and I hooked up with her again.
Online?
Yeah.
Hooked up with who?
Kylie. Yeah. And I decided to, I don't know why I decided to follow through on it.
Okay.
I should have, I've never done that before.
You've never met anybody in a chat room?
Well, I've met women in chat rooms, but I have friends in the chat rooms who are my age or a little younger, but not that young.
Not that young, yeah. Being 13.
Right, or under 20.
When you started, do you go through Yahoo to chat, or what do you go through to chat? I mean, what do you go through to chat?
Well, I go on a Myspace chat room.
Myspace chat.
The Ohio Myspace chat room. That's where I've been recently.
Is that where you met Kylie?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how you found her.
This question in the interrogation is more for the police's benefit. By asking a confirmed predator what behavior he did to find a target, they can gather data and better predict the behaviors of future predators and be more likely to catch them.
To tell you the truth, I'm not really sure. All I know is that I went into the Ohio chat room one night and somehow we just struck up a conversation, and we exchanged instant messenger IDs. I think, well, we didn't chat in private until we went into the Yahoo instant messenger, and then exchanged information. Gave her my name and age. She seemed okay with it. As I said, I've never chatted with anyone in their 20s. But
this time you were okay with her being 13?
Yeah, it was just first it was regular chatting. We didn't really get how can I put that? We didn't really get involved in special chats. She mentioned that she was with a boy 2 years older than she was, and told me how that went.
You asked her how that went?
Off the top of my head, I don't know the specifics. All I know is, I asked her how it went and how she liked it, and what all they did together. And I just don't know what made me want to follow through on it. As I said, I left the house once and changed my mind, and kind of wish I stayed with my gut feeling,
Westwood has already admitted his guilt and knows he's going to prison for this. But what's interesting is how Westwood seems to still be trying to reassure himself that there is some good still in him. He repeats that he had second thoughts and went home, and that he should have just listened to his gut reaction. It's not always easy for people to accept the bad things they've done, and they'll still do what they can to preserve the self-image they have about themselves, even when they accept that the situation is hopeless for them.
You had mentioned about special talk.
Yeah. You said that you didn't really have special chat in the beginning. What's special chat?
Well, what I considered special chats is cybering.
Pretending? Role playing?
Yeah.
So did you have any of those early on?
No. Just not to my knowledge.
Okay. What about before you came over?
I was mentioning to her that I'm romantic, I'm compassionate, or I wouldn't mind kissing her. It's something I've never done.
It went beyond that as well.
Yeah. I don't remember what I said, to tell you the truth.
Well, let's talk about specifically what you said to her, since you don't remember.
We just need some clarification. That's all we're looking for and I think you're being honest with us, and that's all we're looking for.
Trying to be.
Because Westwood had been cooperative, the detectives give him recognition for it. This type of positive reinforcement can help encourage candor in honest convicts. This is helpful because there's no guarantee that things will always be going this smoothly in the interrogation, so this is again getting Westwood prepped and more likely to talk.
Specifically, you talked to Kylie about, and you say special chat with you here on the phone while we're both alone. I'd love us to make each other feel good because I'm lonely tonight. Where were you going with
Well,
that?
basically a romantic chat.
Okay. Do you recall having this conversation?
Not word for word, but yes.
Okay, tell me about it.
I just suggested that we could get together and cuddle on the couch, watch movies or watch TV. I've told her on a few occasions that I am kind of lonely and I don't have many friends. That's why I go into the chat rooms.
Do you think once you got up here, cuddling and being together, watching movies, do you think there could have been a point where possibly it could have went further?
Well, I would try to draw the line at cuddling.
In your chat, you specifically told her that you'd like to have oral sex.
And Westwood just got caught in a lie, saying he would have drawn a line when the conversation suggested the opposite. This is about the worst thing that can happen to anyone in an interrogation, because then it throws everything you claim into question, including Westwood's statement that he was trying to be honest. In court, this can greatly decrease the validity of his account. Also, the male detective used a gentle approach with Westwood, saying this was only going a little bit farther to make it easier for Westwood to admit it himself.
You talked about staying the night. You talked about her being sexy in her nightgown, that you'd be rubbing her thighs, massaging and kissing her breasts. And then you talked to her about if she had ever gone down on a guy, the guy that she had been with. And then you talk about that this aroused you, that you were ready to masturbate, to ejaculate from the conversation. So you did expect to have something happen when you went to the house?
Yeah, but I don't know what would have happened. I would have just played it by ear.
But your intention was to have sex tonight, or oral sex.
If it went that far, yeah.
Is there any on your computer? I know you chat a lot, and you said nobody under 20. If that was ever looked at, would there be anybody else around the age of 13, 14 on there that you chatted with? If somebody looked at it?
There's a few around 15.
Okay. And have you ever tried to meet them?
No.
How long ago was that?
How long ago did I meet him?
Yeah, how long?
At least a year.
Okay. And what'd you guys talk about?
Just normal stuff, sports, school, activities.
Did you get into a little bit of deciphering too?
Not with most of them.
But you did with some of
With
them.
some.
In this particular chat with Kylie, there you referred to another person that you were chatting with. Do you remember who that was?
Yeah, she's 19. Her name is Brenda.
Is that her screen name, or is that her name that she's?
Well, I
given
believe
you?
it's her name, because she also uses it as her screen name.
Just Brenda?
Mm-hmm.
No numbers or?
No.
And that's the 19-year-old you were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. From Oklahoma?
No, that one is a 47-year-old.
Okay.
So you don't discriminate as far as how old or young they are?
No.
I'm going to be right back. I'll step out for a second. I'll
Yeah.
be right back.
Is there a chance I can get a glass of water?
This is an interesting bit of behavior from Westwood. We've talked about a lot of interrogations on the channel, but he seems to be one of the calmest, even asking the detective for a glass of water. This might be misread as confidence, but it seems to be closer to a delayed reaction. Everyone processes events at different times and in different scenarios. Westwood had just been arrested that night and may not have had the time he needs to fully understand what was going on. This will be supported later on in the video when he seems to let his emotions out when he's left alone.
Yeah, I'll take care of that for you in a few minutes. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just wanting to know what's going to happen from here.
Well, at this point, we're going to write up your citation, and we're going to get you transported to the local jail.
So will I be able to, well, the two main questions I have is, am I going to be able to attend church tomorrow? And am I going to be able to go back to work on Monday?
You're not going to be going to church tomorrow.
Okay, I can live with that.
I don't know about work. That's going to depend on when you're arraigned and when your bail's set.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't make any promises on that.
Okay.
That's an unknown right now.
One of my most important questions. I know I did something wrong. Okay, I admit that.
You admit that you came to see a 13-year-old and have sex with them.
Yeah. And I feel bad about it. I can't explain it, but I know I did something wrong. And what I'm driving at is my sister going to be notified about this?
Westwood's behavior would suggest that he is more concerned about his public image than what personally happens to him. He's calm during the interview, and even about going to jail for a few nights. But Westwood's first concern is about how he might get caught being arrested and sent to jail. Missing church, not showing up for work, and his sister seeing police come up to their house would all lead to questions that could point to his actions, but only cares about events that might make people learn about what he did, such as missing church, missing work, and having his sister find out. This is an interesting set of priorities from Westwood, where self-preservation comes from his friends' and family's opinion of him, not from going to jail.
Not unless you tell her.
Okay, so you have no reason to bring my sister into this situation.
We'd like to take a look at your computer if you wanted to give us consent to do that.
Does it have to be at the residence, or can I bring it somewhere for you guys to do what you want to do?
Well, you're going to be in jail. So, we would have to be able to get access to that computer.
What I was driving at is it seems that she is going to find out, because if you have to have access to the computer, you have to go to the residence to do it.
Right. Well, there's different ways to deal with this, and if you want to cooperate, and give us consent to look at your computer, we'll gladly take your consent to do so.
This is a clever tactic from the detective. She makes it sound like an option, but only brings up Westwood giving her permission to look through his computer. She never suggests that he decline, even though that's also an option. This is to maximize the likelihood of getting Westwood's permission to look through the laptop. The detective still technically gives him a choice to say no, even though they're leading him to a specific answer.
I'm trying to kind of build my life back again. I know this is a big setback.
Yeah. It's going to be tough for you, but you're doing the right thing. You're facing it head on, and that's the way to deal with things.
What I'm wanting not to do is have to explain any of this to my sister. I'm not trying to keep anything from her, but I'm trying to turn my life around. I'm trying to recuperate from my divorce and get on my feet financially and otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Getting my life together might sound strange coming from a man who just attempted pedophilia, but in Westwood's mind, he's trying to make his life better after going through a terrible event in his life. He still doesn't seem to grasp the gravity of his situation and what he could have done had this not been a sting operation. It's also possible that since Westwood has never been arrested before, he simply doesn't have the means to understand how bad this is.
I guess the biggest thing is, I guess regarding to consent, so which way you're on, so we kind of know which way to go with you. I mean, if you feel like you want to consent regarding, checking everything out, verifying everything, she has a form. It's up to you if you want to sign it or not. If you do, she'll have you sign it, if you want to consent to have your computer and stuff checked out. If you don't, but that's up to you. Okay.
Is it gonna hurt my case if I refuse the consent?
No, it's your right.
It's your call.
It's your call.
I mean, consent. If you want to say no, it's not going to change what we've talked about here. You've told me the truth. I'm cool with that. If you tell me no, I just take that blank paper back out the door. Or if you tell me yes, we'll sit here and we'll fill it out. You'll get to read it. You'll know exactly what it says, and everybody will feel good about it, and we'll have consent to look at the computer. I mean, that's your call.
I think I'm going to refuse the consent.
And when presented with the option to decline the search of his laptop, Westwood takes it. This is why if detectives want to maximize their chances of getting consent, they need to do everything they can to build up momentum to a yes answer even before bringing out the document to sign.
Okay. Let me go and get all this other stuff together. You said you wanted some water. Let's see if I can get that out here. Be just a few minutes, okay?
Almost immediately after being let alone, Westwood unzips his coat to get less constrained, and he drops his quiet demeanor to immediately show distressed body language. This demonstrates how much Westwood is affected by the opinion of others, and how being alone might be the only environment where he can now process everything that's happened that day.
You doing all right?
As best as I can be.
Pardon?
As good as I can be.
Yeah, it's not a good situation.
Yeah, plus I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Well, I'm almost finished up with the paperwork here, and then I'll call the jail to have somebody transport you.
We see that after being left alone for a while, Westwood has had the time to process his situation. He's been fidgeting and showing other distressed body languages while waiting. 1:14:43. Bail was set to $100,000, which was too high of a price for Paul Westwood or any of the 11 pedophiles to be let out of jail. All of them were convicted and sentenced to prison. Paul Westwood was required to serve 51 months in jail, then 20 years of supervised release. Westwood's sister, work, and even his church did find out about what he tried to do that one night, and we're sure it has impacted Westwood's relationships ever since.